Hey, Scarbeck.
Hello. How are you?
How's it going?
It's going well.
Going well here as well. I'm switching gears between multiple things, so I'm a bit distracted. I just found out that, at least just looking at the links I have access to, QA pipelines, full QA pipelines, don't run at all. As in, they show successful in the channel, but they do not run.
These are different than our trigger QA tests, right?
These are different than our trigger QA tests. So our our deployment ones are triggering smoke tests, and those are passing. So we are depending on them, and they're reliable. But I'm trying to find a full suit run that was successful, and I haven't been able to do so. So I'm pinging quality right now to figure out who's actually monitoring this, or whether I'm looking at the wrong spot. So I mean,
that's the right channel to look at. So
yeah, well, it's green all along. It's just that whenever you click one of the pipelines, you'll see allow to fail, and if you click on that, it just says cannot find bin QA, which is a pretty big problem, I would think, if you want to run tests.
Well, perfect.
Yeah. Anyway, that's where I'm at right now. Cool. Let's get started. So let's talk about previous week's goals. What did you achieve, and so on?
I didn't achieve much. So we set too many goals.
Yeah.
I wanted to work on metrics, which I did. So I've got like 6 or so merge requests open and ready to go. I assigned them all to Andrew because I think he's more familiar with all this stuff compared to Jarv.
You said you didn't do much, Scarbeck, but 6 merge requests in like 2 working days, 3, is not that bad at all.
I started some of this before last week, so that was helpful.
I'm trying to praise you here, and you're not allowing me to do so.
I have excuses for anything.
Okay.
Further testing the auto deploy process. I believe that's what I'm trying to work on right now. Is this the right issue? Yes.
Sorry, you're being too fast. Just FYI, Andrew came back from his vacation today, so he's going through a big backlog. If he wants to prioritize this higher, let him know through Slack.
I did.
Or if it's not, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
And he's excited to see this kind of stuff done because he wants to see sidekiq pushed over to Kubernetes. So I think we both have a vested interest in making sure we've got metrics going. So at this moment in time, I'm just waiting for those merge requests, and then I'm going to go through and just make sure that everything still works as expected and that I haven't broken anything or introduced something new or missed something by chance.
Perfect. FYI for you here is now the scalability team got 2 new members. We are starting next week with full-on work. Not to say that Bob and Andrew haven't been working full, but I mean, like, we have almost full team. So I'm planning on doing demos the same way we are doing demos here for Kubernetes, which means, is this too early for you? Is it possible for you to do an hour early to this time?
Yeah, I could do 8 a.m.
Yeah?
Like, this is 9 o'clock right now, and I could easily do 8.
Okay. So because I'm planning to do most likely 1 hour early so that we have scalability demo where we're going to review sidekiq changes, how are we planning to do things. I want to invite delivery team as well. And then we can just continue with our demo for Kubernetes, and that's going to feed each other, basically. So just FYI there. Cool.
Yeah, that'll work just fine. The next one of the goals I wanted to work on was making sure we have a solid deploy process, because right now there's no such thing as auto deploy and CNG or Helm charts. So I've been working on that all this week, and I haven't really made too much progress. I've got one merge request that's geared towards making sure that we have the ability to create the stable branches for CNG. So that's one start. The next portion is sending all the components and their versions to CNG so it builds the right stuff, because right now it would always build master, which is not what we want, obviously. So I'm working on that now. I don't know how close I am to a completion of that.
Question for you.
Yeah.
When you say create stable branches, what stable branches do you mean? Do you mean the 12-7- stable?
Yeah, the same stable branches we create for all of our other components, Omnibus and Deployer, and I don't know if we do it for Deploy, but we at least do it for Omnibus and GitLab. It will also create those inside of CNG.
So here's a problem. Are you aware of branching structure in charts?
No.
That is your problem number one, because you went out to build this out, but charts have a completely different branching system. Not different branching system. Sorry, I'm going to retract that. Branching naming system is completely different in charts. So they are following their own major minor version branching. So if you have chart 2.4.1, that is going to be used in 2-4- stable
of the chart.
So any backports that needs to go into that version will go into 2-4, not into 12-7.
So how does this interact with CNG then? Because that's where I'm pushing these stable branches.
But wait, you only want to build images,
correct?
Not the charts.
Yeah, I'm not touching charts yet.
Okay, man. I think you should be setting up a call with one of the distribution guys, recording that so that you have to share it. But the system is even more convoluted in there because it was added a similar way. Everything is added, right? Like it's just, let's do the quickest thing possible. Right?
Yeah.
Now, distribution team might be open to re-evaluating this because time long enough has passed, time has passed since those decisions were made. The reason why those decisions exist in the first place is we needed a way to bump charts much quicker than we bump GitLab, because charts in a very active development, we needed to have like a very independent way of doing major releases so we can break things quicker and fix things quicker as well. But I don't know whether we are at that stage still in the chart. I believe we are not to reevaluate that. But that might be actually throwing a spanner in the works. But I think it's first important for you to inform yourself on how that system looks in there first, how charts relate to image building, so that you know what you're dealing with here. Now, with all of that out of my head, it's written down, I think, even in our docs, by the way. I think we forced that. Let me see. Where did I put it? Charts, GitLab. GitLab pages, releases. Yeah, there is releases page. Alphabet 2.0. Oh, no, it's not this one. I'll try to find it real quick because we documented all of this. At least I know I was forcing the documentation of this. And why did we make certain decisions? Breaking changes, subcharts. Anyway, so I don't know if you're aware of this doc. I'll share that with you anyway. This is just if you're ever curious why certain things are done the way they are done. You can find that information there. Oh, I found it, I think. There we go. And here is the document to chart versioning. So it has a complete explanation. Theoretically, it has a complete explanation of how to release, why they release this way, and so on.
So basically, the stable branches I'm creating would step on top of what they already use.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't actually. It wouldn't do anything. No. Again, I need to rephrase. You would be able to use it for your own purpose, but then if they need to backport changes into stable versions, they will have to do it either in two places, or whatever we use would be different.
Yeah.
Which in itself might not be the worst thing in the world. There are ways for keeping those branches in sync. But that's something we need to kind of think through and discuss whether we want to go down that route. There is something to be said about the fact that we are now actually focusing quite a lot of effort on improving charts. And in order for us to actually be able to use that on .com, we need to kind of wait for the release. What we can end up doing is we can just say that we're going to create the auto deploy branches the same way we create them right now, and use that as our way of handling things. So that's how we can also break away from tagged chart releases. So you would have the same system of you creating the same auto deploy branch in the charts. How that would trigger image build, that's like, you need to figure that one out. I forgot how that works. But then you don't have to deal with stable branch creation. You don't have to deal with any of that. Then you can leave that to the distribution team to improve how they create 2-4 stable. Maybe they can create it from auto deploy branches the same way we do from stable branches, right? So maybe that's where we need to kind of hook things in.
Okay, I'll set up a meeting with them and see what needs to be done here.
Yep.
It kind of puts a dent in the work I've been doing all this week, but I'll figure it out at some point, I guess.
Actually, you say it's putting a dent. I don't think it does, because here are two things why it doesn't. First of all, you went into release tools to understand how all of this is tied together, so you can implement it in another place that can be reused.
Yeah.
Branch name can be different.
Yeah.
And number two, you actually now know that there are differences between charts and omnibus and whole release process, and maybe you can, between the two, find a common solution for all of them, so we can unify them. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that will probably be something I start working on next week, is trying to work with distribution and figure out the best way to go about doing that.
Cool.
Because I really want to solve that, because otherwise, like, we're already behind on the pre-environment for sidekiq. Like, it's on 12.4 stable and we're at 12.6. So like,
exactly.
And we're not updating it when we're doing a deploy. So that's really hurtful for us. And
I agree.
We can't be doing that.
No, I agree, and I kind of knew, but I was kind of, I think it was still a good exercise. It is still a good exercise because it still allows you to focus on a specific queue, see how it connects, fix some things in the charts, so you unblock yourself sooner. Now, what you could do is just bump that in pre right now, today, and see whether something broke. And we can have that as a task, maybe in a demo weekly, until we automate this, where let's bump, maybe we can do that right now.
We could do that.
Yeah, let's share that. Share the screen and we can go with it.
Let me create a new window. Let's see, share. That one. All right, okay, it's workloads. Sorry if my keyboard's loud.
Fine.
forget where we put the version at. I think it's dedicated in pre. Oh, so it is 12.5, but we are on the 12.7 stable branches right now, correct?
No, we are at 12.6.
12.6.
We don't have 12.7 yet. This is an ongoing release.
What are those other things? Stuff I don't need to worry about. Okay, I'm going to assign this merge request to you.
All right. Maybe you can switch the screen.
Yeah.
To the browser.
Yeah, hang on.
And in the meantime, I am going
to sidekiq, share screen. Merge request 108 is now assigned to you. And then if I were to go to our ops instance, we'll be able to see the pipeline associated with it. I would hope nothing breaks with this, but
It's fine. Maybe it should break. Maybe that makes life interesting.
eek, I don't want to.
As long as it doesn't touch production, and it doesn't because it's a dry run, I'm happy with that.
Both being a dry run, and we've only deployed this to the I'm looking at the wrong job.
Yeah,
we've
I'm
only
looking at the
deployed this
job
to
right now.
pre.
Yeah.
So somewhere in here in the dry run, we should see the version get bumped. Yep. So we just pointed to a new image.
Yep. Perfect. Stopping tiller. Ugh, tiller.
Hey, we're not using tiller. We're using that tillerless plugin until we get version 3 of Helm supported.
Yeah, local tiller, right? So
yep.
I don't really understand. Oh, maybe the dry run mimics this.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, the dry run makes a call the same way we would do a deploy, which still uses tillerless.
Yeah.
So it all looks the same.
This is merged. And now let's see ops pipelines.
We'll have to wait those 5 fancy minutes for this to get synced.
It shouldn't be 5 minutes. It should be like almost immediate, right?
From what I recall, once there was some sort of sync between the two, there's a time window that does not sync, regardless of whether or not you push the button to force a sync.
Well, how does that actually work for our release pipelines then?
Oh, I have no idea.
It's the same principle. It's the same principle. So theoretically, it should be almost immediate, right? It's not going to be immediate, but it's going to be within minutes.
Repository, mirroring.
Yeah, it's 3 minutes ago. So that ain't nice.
Yeah, so it still didn't update.
Yeah.
I think there's like a window where it just doesn't want to push
do anything,
the,
yeah. Makes sense because we that's then prone to abuse. I mean, if I were to put my product hat on, the one that I keep in a basement, I would think there is an upsell opportunity here to say like,
oh yeah,
you know, by default you have 5-minute updates that prevents us from being abused. But if you need updates frequently, upgrade to this plan, and that has updates every minute or something, or every 30 seconds or something. But luckily I keep my product hat very deep in the basement.
All right, so it should be synced now. Maybe not.
No. That's a problem.
I like the addition of the last updated temp though. I don't think that was there before I looked at this.
It has been there for a bit now.
Oh, it has been?
Yeah. Anyway, while that waits, let's continue with the rest. So creating staging configuration for Kubernetes, that is kind of waiting for us to be able to actually have staging sidekiq follow our deployments, right?
Yeah. Jarv wanted to create this just for giggles. You know, why not? Because we've got the capability and easily able to modify things. But I really wanted to work on monitoring. So that took priority last week. So maybe I'll do that next week while I'm in the middle.
How about I do this? Have Jarv tackle that one so that you can focus on making monitoring metrics solid, and then continue to investigate
Sounds good.
the process there. So Jarv to dig into crons rather and create this configuration.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yep. The other thing we worked on, I created an issue to discover how crons work just in general, because that's not something I'm very familiar with, our GitLab product. And I created an issue and I wrote some notes in it. Hopefully it's 1000% accurate. But the gist being that crons only add one item to the queue, and whatever worker is assigned to that queue will pick it up. So in pre, our best effort is going to pick up specifically the import-export project cleanup worker, which is not helpful for the Kubernetes pods running exports. They're not going to clean anything up because they've got their own their own disk for each pod.
Yeah, that is suspected already, right? We kind of had a
exactly. This is just a confirmation of that.
Yeah. Okay. This is something we'll have to think about, or rather, we will probably have to get application development into this.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I think this depends on what queue we care about. Like for the exports queue, it appears to clean itself up after an export occurred. I did some quick testing. I don't know if you're still looking at my screen, but like,
yeah, I am.
I'm just outputting the size of the shared directory before and after an export. And before, you know, it was empty, 4 kilobytes of just folder directory metadata. It ramped up to 1.5 gig and it shrunk back down to 32K. So that's just it leaving more directories behind, but it cleaned up all the data inside of the directories. So for the export queue, I think we're perfectly fine and safe and ready to go with that in Kubernetes. It'll be like the import queue appears to not clean itself up, and that's why our current sidekiq fleet and import nodes are currently filling up occasionally, because we removed the shared temp directory.
All right.
So we have some knowledge. This will be something that I throw into our readiness review when we start porting over our export queue into Kubernetes.
So if we already know that the import queue is not cleaning itself up properly, please create an issue in the GitLab issue tracker. Go to the product categories page and find who owns import. Apply those labels there and explain the impact. Basically, you want to explain that this is not blocking us right now. It is going to block us very soon.
And it's currently giving us a little bit of a headache because we depend on that shared NFS queue still, or
yeah.
not
So
queue, whatever.
I would even say that is what, severity 2 for sure.
Okay.
Severity 2, priority 2 most likely as well. And the only reason why does this work for our self-managed customers? It can only work as long as you have one pod, right?
Yeah. I want to ask the question to the distribution teams, like, how do they solve for this problem? Because I feel like it should be a huge issue.
Yeah.
Because they don't recommend running an all-in-one sidekiq deployment. So they're going to have, whatever customer runs this is going to have many pods. But I don't know how things get cleaned up.
What do you mean they don't recommend all-in-one?
They have in their documentation that they don't recommend using the sidekiq all-in-one thing, which runs every single queue inside of one or more pods as it scales. They recommend a more production-worthy style of deployment, which is what we're attempting to do, where you assign specific queues to a set of sidekiq pods. But if nothing ever gets...
So our default setup there is already recommended you that you shouldn't be doing this.
Correct.
That is a pretty freaking big problem.
Yeah.
I guess 2 action items there. Figuring out with distribution, why are they doing this and how do they plan to get this improved, because this is not good. And number 2 is creating the application issue that I explained.
Hello? Yeah, so I've got one for distribution already created.
Any takers?
No one's commented on it yet.
Yeah, because there is no mention. Check out who the maintainers are and mention them individually.
No, I thought I did. Bummer. Okay.
Don't do the whole handle. Don't do GitLab org distribution.
Yeah.
I think it's DJ, Jason, and Ian most likely. Mention them.
Will do.
And ask them for help. We can then escalate further to product and Steven if necessary.
Yeah.
But that's actually not great. Cool.
All right. So I got some action items out of that. Staging we already talked about.
Jarv obviously didn't do any work because he was away.
He was out.
Shame on him. Yeah, this is...
The last thing we talked about last week was doing a mailer queue configuration. I created an issue. I did not get to it because of everything we already discussed. So that's still in our backlog for something we could potentially do in the future.
Maybe you want to add it to your backlog here. Or rather, let me copy this over. All right, and then we can copy this as a secondary, or not secondary, ternary, basically, the third item. Don't focus on that. The first 2 are pretty big anyway. Yep. So if you have a need to break for a bit, just then do it. Yep. The last item is, let's see the production or pre-deployment.
Yep, let me share the other screen. Pre-upgrade. So we got our diff where it's changing the image again, and it looks like it was successful. I'm looking for the right messages. Deployment not ready. Updated release.
Mm-hmm.
Status deployed, yay! And we see where it's
Old pod
terminating the
terminating.
old one.
Yeah.
That was 28 hours old. It spun up a bunch. I need to figure why it's spinning up so many when it's trying to do a deployment.
Interesting.
I'm still relying on the default HPA configuration, which is probably contributing to that.
Yeah, that is the very last thing that we are going to be dealing with. So let it be. Can we confirm this is working on pre now? So let me load up something. I'll do that real quick.
I don't think I don't have a dashboard we could look at yet. I don't believe. Whoops. Kuber.
No? Okay. Well. Okay, well, we have something. Okay, I'm going to go and export something.
Oh, that's the old pod, so it's one of these newer ones.
Okay, so project export, right?
Yup.
Okay, I clicked on the button. So let's see what is happening there.
Is there a way I can monitor the entire workload? GitLab. There we go. That's
okay,
what I
there we
wanted
go.
to see.
Can you link that in the demo?
Yeah. Need a URL shortener for dashboards.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, one of the things we don't have is any sort of details as to what pod ran what job at this moment in time. All of our sidekiq dashboards are dedicated to VMs and instances. It's not going to have any Kubernetes metadata associated with it yet.
Right. So I did receive an email.
That's good.
And yeah, it appears to be a valid. Yeah, there is a valid export in there.
Perfect. So we know it worked.
So we know it worked, yeah.
We just don't have any way to tie that back to, well, I guess we do. We could go to non-prod log and...
We can do that, and we also have a Sentry for pre, right?
We do.
If there were any exceptions, we would see that there, right?
Yeah. I guess when that loads,
I hope so.
Whoops, Sentry.
I would hope so, right? I don't know whether it actually works or not, though.
Well, hopefully there were no exceptions. So.
I mean, no one is using it, so I would be very surprised. And
GKE pre. What was the project you exported?
let me see. Scarbeck registry import test.
Lambo. Let me just get rid of Scarbeck.
Yeah, actually, last 15 minutes. So this happened in the last 15 minutes. So I would expect that.
Let's do this. Whoops.
Yeah, look at all of them, and
I wish I was better at looking at logs.
Hey, Skarbek, if there was one thing I wish I was better at, that wouldn't be looking at logs. That is for sure.
Let's see. Sidekiq, save. All right, so there's a cluster, only 850 hits, probably because some of this is related to it spinning up and starting.
Update all mirrors. Geo sidekiq cron config, what? Why do we have that?
I don't know.
So we have geo sidekiq cron config worker spitting stuff into the log. Update all mirrors worker.
We shouldn't be seeing any of that. We should only be seeing project exports.
Am I looking at the right thing?
I don't know. I'm looking at
sidekiq inf pre, right?
Oh no, it's going to be inside of the GKE because this is Kubernetes.
Sorry.
Let's look for just the word registry. I'm pretty sure that's not going to show me any results though. I also forget what this specific data is going to look like, so that's not helpful.
All right. All right. Well, in any case, let's leave that for you to play with a tiny bit. It would be interesting actually to see.
Text payload, that's what I needed. How do I get rid of message? Okay, that was a pod shutting down. Let me go back to now. I don't like this time interface.
No, it's actually really annoying. I messed up multiple times.
Here we go. Active job.
Project was exported email, I see.
Yeah, here we go. Here's the saved project export. So we see it saved. So we know it did work. Project export worker start. So which pod ran it? 79DQ9JF ran it. And I got rid of my dashboard, but at least we know the new pod ran your export and it was successful. So I'm happy with that information.
Can you share that specific one?
Yes.
Just put it in the doc because I want to look at it later because I'm not clear on why we were not able to search for this. I want to understand that.
Copy link.
Sorry, I'm getting up from my chair because I have someone at the door. All right, I need to drop off for a sec.
All right.
So I just received the package. First of all, it has my name wrong. Second of all, I hear it clacking and clinging, and it's a mug. So
jeez.
What are the chances of it actually being okay? Cool. You shared the link, right?
I did. I posted in the doc in the demo section.
All right. and I'll check it out later. I'm curious. I've been having a lot of troubles figuring out this new Kibana interface on non-prods, and I keep getting really weird results. So I just want to try to spend some time understanding what the hell is happening.
Yeah, for whatever reason, if I do just a text search, it doesn't show up, but like the verbiage is clearly there. So
is it me? I thought it was maybe because of the KQL, right? You know that you can select the syntax.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but it still didn't work or doesn't work for me sometimes. So see?
Yeah, still nothing.
So I don't know what's happening there. Okay, luckily.
Guess I need to learn something new.
Luckily, this was not a mug. These are CO2 containers for my beer brewery. Okay, well, cool. That's good. We know it's working. We know it's upgraded. We can move on.
Yep.
Cool. And my item from previous week, I realized that I did create the boards when I said I would. What I didn't do was actually add the workflow to the handbook.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that now.
Sounds good.
I don't know. It just slipped my mind.
Is there anything else that we want to discuss then?
Nope, not from my side.
All right.
I'm happy with the work you're doing there. I think metrics are really, really important.
Yeah.
So I don't want to even set out to work on any of this prior to this. And then when Jar comes back next week, he should tackle the things we talked about. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Excellent.
Cool. All right.
Man. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
I'll catch you later.